Have you ever wondered, am I really better off alone? Maybe you've been in a relationship for decades and feel like something isn't right anymore. Or maybe you've been single for years, but now people are starting to say things like, at this age, aren't you afraid of being lonely? Don't you think you need someone to grow old with? But what if being single after 60 wasn't something to be feared, but something to be considered? Purposeful. What if it actually has benefits that no one warned you about today? We're exploring 7 surprising truths about being single as you age, truths that may change the way you think about aging, relationships, and independence. The point here is not to push you toward or away from something. We're not here to criticize marriage or glorify loneliness. We are here to tell the truth. Mistake 1, believing that passion has an expiration date. Have you ever found yourself saying, I'm too old for that? Walter did so. He used to spend hours in his garage, working with wood. He built shelves, carved toys, repaired old chairs. The space made him feel alive. But after he turned 70, he slowly stopped. The tools gathered dust. The garage became quiet. When someone asked him why he gave up, he just shrugged and said, that part of my life is over. But is it somewhere along the way? Many of us begin to believe that excitement, curiosity, and joy belong to a younger version of ourselves, a version with more energy, more time, fewer aches and pains. We start thinking that passion has an expiration date, that dreams are only for young people. So we stop asking what excites us. We stop exploring. We stop starting. But here is the quiet truth. Passion does not die with age. It fades with neglect, like a fire. It goes out when you stop fueling it. Not because it's too old to burn, but because you forgot to give it oxygen. You don't have to write novels or travel around the world. Passions can be as small as trying a new recipe, growing herbs in the kitchen, learning a song on the piano, or taking photos on your morning walk. The problem is not success. The problem is vitality. What you can do. Think back what makes you lose track of time, whatever makes you smile for no reason. Pick one small thing, just one thing, and take 5 minutes this week. No pressure, no perfection, just be present. Walter finally did. He started chiseling again. Not for anyone else, just for himself. He once told me, I thought a part of me was gone. Turns out, it was just waiting. You're never too old to be inspired. You're never too late to care deeply about something. Passion is not a closed chapter, but a light that you can always keep burning. Is there something small that is silently calling you? Comment still curious if this touches your heart. Mistake 2, emotionally dependent on children. Carol is the mother of 3 children. She raised them with love, worked overtime so they could go to college, stayed up all night when they were feverish and in pain. Now in her 70s, she sits by the phone every Sunday waiting. Sometimes they call, sometimes they don't. But the pain of that silence, it's always there. She doesn't ask for much, just a few minutes. A sign that she was still in their world. Here's the silent truth many parents face as they age. When your sense of well-being depends on how often your child communicates, you give away too much of your emotional power. It happens so easily. You start looking for purpose in them, to connect, to make sure you still matter, but they have their own lives, their own families, their own jobs, their own responsibilities. They can still love you deeply, but they can't be you. Just one emotional nourishment, and when they forget to call, cancel plans, or act distant, you feel hurt. It's not because you're too sensitive. It's because somewhere inside, you've given your heart to them and now you're waiting for them to give it back. That's not love. That's silent dependence. What you can do: ask yourself, when was the last time I did something just for myself, not to fill my time, but to fill my soul? Reach out to an old friend. Treat yourself to a coffee date alone. Join a book club or walking group. Build emotional rhythms that don't depend on your child's schedule. It's not selfish. It's survival. Carol eventually took an art class. I thought it was silly, she says, but for the first time in a long time, I felt like a human being again, not just a mom waiting to be remembered. You are still a whole person, with dreams, humor, tenderness, and depth that deserve to be seen not just by your children, but by friend. Are you living in waiting or living in fulfillment? Comment "My joy matters" if you find it suitable. Mistake 3. Thinking it's too late to start over. Linda was 68 years old when her husband died. They have been married for over 40 years. And suddenly, the daily routines, the morning cup of coffee together, the quiet laughter in the evening, all of it was gone. For months, she didn't know what to do with herself. The house seemed too big. The days were too long. The silence was too loud. I don't know who I am without him, she said. That feeling is more common than most people admit, whether it's after a loss, retirement, or just a gradual change from old habits. Many people over 60 begin to believe a quiet and painful lie. It's too late for me to start over. But starting over doesn't mean changing everything. That doesn't mean you have to forget the past or pretend your heart hasn't been through a lot of pain. This means choosing not to get stuck in the same story. You can start over emotionally by allowing yourself to feel something new. You can get a social start by approaching someone you don't expect. You can start over creatively, mentally, physically, even if it's just one small step. For Linda, it all started with a pottery class. I didn't even intend to sign up. She told me. I just came to watch. But there's something about the clay, the movement. It's healing. Now she goes every Thursday. She's made new friends. She laughs again. Not all the time, but enough to remember that she's still alive. What you can do. Ask yourself, what part of me have I paused, then let it breathe? You don't have to fix everything. You don't even have to be good at it. You just need to start. It is always possible to have a different life at any age. What if you stop telling yourself it was too late? Comment "Begin again" if you're ready to give it a try, even just a little. Mistake 4. Withdrawing from life and living on autopilot. Every morning, John makes the same cup of coffee, sits in the same chair, watches the same news. Lunch is usually the same sandwich, then a nap, then dinner, then more TV. His days were quiet, but also colorless, safe, but strangely empty. He is not really unhappy, just numb. That's the thing about routine. It can protect you, especially after a loss or illness. It can provide comfort, but over time, routine can turn into quiet withdrawal. You stop reaching out, stop trying new things, stop finding small joys. It's not because you're depressed, it's because life starts to feel dull and you don't know how to get that feeling back. Here is the truth. You don't have to be in crisis to feel disconnected. Sometimes the danger is not chaos, but the fading of your own flame. When every day is the same, you stop feeling those days, and it's not aging. It's autopilot. What you can do, you don't need to make big changes. Start small. Add something strange to your day. Take another path. Eat something new. Call someone you haven't talked to in years. Rearrange the furniture. Play a different kind of music. It's not about being productive. It's about being present. When John finally breaks his routine by joining the neighborhood storytelling night, he doesn't expect much. But hearing strangers share real memories, it awakens something inside him. He didn't even say anything at first, but he felt alive, seen, curious. And that's enough. You don't have to take advantage of every minute, but don't let every minute pass in vain. When was the last time you felt truly awake during the day? Comment "Wake me up" if you are tired of following a routine. Mistake 5: hoarding money but starving yourself of joy. Ella has spent her life taking responsibility. She saves every penny she can. She clips coupons, drives the same old car for 15 years, and rarely buys anything just because. Now 72, she has a large savings account, but she still lives as if every dollar is a threat. No vacations, no dinners out, no new shoes unless the old ones fall apart. She said to herself, "Maybe one day I'll need it." And yes, using money wisely is important. But here is the silent danger. When you hoard money out of fear, you may be protecting your future at the expense of your present. We often forget the purpose of money, not just an emergency, but the beauty, the comfort, the peace of mind. Happy. Ella used to love flowers, especially peonies, but when asked why she doesn't buy them anymore, she said, "They died after a week," as if that makes them unworthy. But isn't pleasure sometimes worth it, even if it only lasts for a moment? You worked hard to get what you have. You sacrificed. You planned. You endured. You deserve to feel the warmth of that effort. Not someday, right now. What you can do. Spend a little money on something that makes you smile. A good book, a quiet dinner at your favorite cafe, a class you've always wanted to try. Help with something that's tiring you out, or maybe a bouquet of fresh peonies. You are not reckless. You are reminding yourself that life is still happening and you are allowed to enjoy it. Ella finally gave in and bought a bouquet of flowers. She put them by the window, and every morning for a week, she sat with them with her cup of coffee, quiet, peaceful, present. Then she said to me, "They don't last forever, but they make this week meaningful." Are you protecting your money, or is it protecting you? Friend, comment live. Now if this stirs something inside you. Mistake 6, ignoring your body because you think it's too late. Roger used to be very active. Nothing too extreme, just a daily walk, some gardening, some light stretching in the morning. It keeps him grounded, connected, alive. But after turning 75, his knees became more painful. Getting up from the sofa required a lot of strength. He started skipping walks, sleeping more, moving less. "I'm old," he shrugged. "This is how things are now." But here's the silent truth that many people do not speak. Your body doesn't stop needing love just because it gets older. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be include. When you stop moving completely, your body listens, and it begins to believe that it no longer matters. Small annoyances turn into real pain. Rigidity becomes limiting. And gradually, you begin to feel like a passenger in your own life, not the driver. But getting old doesn't mean giving up. This means changing the way you care. What you can do: forget the gym, forget performance. Instead, try these gentle steps. Stretch your arms overhead when you wake up. Stand up and sit down slowly 5 times, once a day. Walk 5 minutes more than yesterday. Drink a full glass of water as soon as you wake up in the morning. Take deep breaths when you go outside. This is not a workout. They are a react of remembering that your body still belongs to you, that it deserves your attention, your care, your love. Roger finally started walking again. Not far, just to the corner and back. Then one day he added music. He said to me, "It's not about becoming strong. It's about not disappearing." That saying kept haunting me, because that's what most of this content is about, not to fix ourselves, but simply to appear for the life we still have. How would your body react if you treated it like someone you love? Review Move gently if you are ready to reconnect with the only body you will ever have. Mistake 7. Maintaining draining relationships out of habit or guilt. Maria meets her old friend Judy for lunch every Thursday. They've known each other since their kids were in kindergarten. Decades of shared memories, holidays, hospital visits, birthday calls. But lately, those lunches have made Maria feel small. Judy often interrupts her, makes passive-aggressive comments about her weight, roll her eyes when Maria talks about her new hobby. Maria always pays. Judy never asks how she is doing, but she still went, because we have been friends for a long time. Sound familiar? Here are some of the silent mistakes many people make. We hold on to relationships that drain us because we feel too guilty to let go. Sometimes it's a friend, sometimes siblings, sometimes even a long-term partner. We tell ourselves it is loyalty, but often it is fear. Fear of being alone, fear of being considered ungrateful, fear of change. But let's be clear, history is not the same as health. Just because someone has been in your life for a long time doesn't mean they still deserve constant access to your time, energy, or heart, especially if that relationship now brings more hurt than healing. What you can do: start by paying attention. After a conversation, ask yourself, do I feel lighter or heavier, visible or invisible, be loved or be judged? You don't have to cut off contact with everyone, but you allow to create space, to limit the time you spend with people who make you feel small, to find people who talk softly, listen wholeheartedly, and meet you wherever you go. Maria finally took a lunch break. Instead, she joined a local memoir group. There, strangers listened much more kindly than her friends. She said, "It's not dramatic. I just stopped saying yes to things that made me feel worse. You don't need a reason to protect your peace. You just need your own permission." Who in your life makes you feel incomplete? And why do you still say yes? Comment, choose peace. If you know it's time to set boundaries. Mistake 8. Abandoning your inner world. George often spends time on the lake behind his house. Just sit there and watch the water move. He doesn't call it anything spiritual, but he says it's when he feels most grounded, when things slow down and make a little more sense. However, these days, his TV is on from morning till night. He was scrolling through his phone. The radio was playing in the background. There is always noise, but strangely, there is no silence. When asked why he stopped going to the lake, he shrugged. "I guess I forgot." That's what happens when we stop taking care of our inner life. We don't lose it all at once. We walk away from it quietly. Perhaps you have found peace in prayer or feel something sacred in nature. Maybe you've written, read poetry, or sat pondering difficult questions under the stars. But then came the responsibility, the loss, the pain, the loss of focus, and gradually, the quiet space inside you becomes silent. The truth is, your soul never stops needing care just because your life gets busy, your faith changes, or the world gets noisy. In fact, the older we get, the more we need space to reflect, to ask deeper questions, to remember that we are more than just our bodies, our calendars, or the names on someone else's phones. Used to soul still developing. What you can do, you don't need religion or labels. All you need is a moment of intention. Sit quietly for 5 minutes. Light a candle and breathe. Go out without your phone. Write an honest sentence in your diary. Whisper a thank you, or a question, or nothing at all. George finally returned to the lake. He didn't bring any books or headphones, just him. I didn't even think. He told me. I just felt reconnected. That's what your inner life does. It connects you, reminds you, calms you, and it's never too late to turn back. When was the last time you gave your mind some space to breathe? Comment still here. If there is something inside you that needs to be remembered. Mistake 9. Believing there's nothing new to discover. Diane is 74 years old. She raised a family, worked for decades, and traveled as a young woman. Today, she's still close to home. Same chair, same TV show, same conversations. I've seen it all, she said with a smile. But behind that smile was something else, a kind of quiet resignation. Here are the things no one says. The most dangerous thought we carry after 60 is not fear, but the end. The idea that life has shown us everything it has to offer. That surprise belongs to the young people. That surprise will fade over time. The best parts of the story are left behind. But that's not true. That's habit. That's grief. That's exhaustion. Because discovery is not a young thing. It belongs to curiosity. And curiosity has no age limit. You can still be surprised by a book, moved by a new song, changed by a stranger's story. Wake up to a question you never thought of. You may discover a part of yourself that was buried 30 years ago. You may stumble upon new friendships. You can learn a new skill. It might suck at first, but it will be great later. And no, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You don't have to travel the world or master something new. Sometimes the most powerful discoveries happen in small places. Your backyard, one last silent memory you forgive. A simple yes to something unfamiliar. Realize that you are still, somehow, becoming what you can do. Choose one new thing this week. Just one thing. Another way, another taste, another voice. Let the world remind you you are still a part of it. Diane recently joined a community podcast group not to talk, but just to listen. There was a story that brought her to tears. Then she said, I thought I had heard it all. Turns out, I'm just getting started. What if the next great thing doesn't happen? Not yet, because it is waiting. Friend, notice it. Comments stay open if you are ready to be surprised again. You are still watching. Thank you. That says something beautiful about you. That means you're not done yet. Not with growth, not with emotion, not with becoming. Maybe some of these 9 mistakes feel familiar to you. Maybe 1 or 2 things have touched a place inside you that has been quiet for a long time. That is not failure. That is awareness. And awareness is where all good things begin. You don't have to change your entire life overnight. All it takes is one small change, one honest moment, one gentle decision that says, I still matter, and I'm still here, and you are still here, still going on. If this video makes you feel included or simply reminds you of something you forgot, consider subscribing. Not because quantity matters, but because friend problem, and because this space was built for you, for those who want to age with purpose, clarity, and quiet courage. Please leave a comment if you find something impressive. Share this with someone you love. And most importantly, take good care of yourself and be gentle. You are still a work in progress, and that's a great thing.